Releasing just a short time ago, Nexon Games has released a brand new looter shooter that's been getting a lot of hype. But is it worth said hype? My name is CJ, and today on Should a Dad Play, we'll be looking at the First Descendant. As always, if you're a dad and you like these videos, make sure you leave us a like, drop us a sub, and leave us some comments. Let us know what games you want to see us review next. The First Descendant is a looter shooter multiplayer RPG, and it's also free to play. The intro of the game will throw you into some story beats, as well as a tutorial to get you going. One of the things I wasn't particularly fond of was how the tutorial was shown in more of a slideshow format rather than just letting me do something or showing me the button commands so that I could do them in real time along with it. But it's not a major gripe because the controls are rather intuitive and it's not too hard to pick up. As you progress through the tutorial, you'll shoot some bad guys and sort of get familiar with the story, which, to be honest with you, is not my cup of tea. I found it very, very hard to get into, but it's not all bad. There is a lot of good stuff here in the First Descendant. From character designs to how the guns feel and how many different varieties there are for the guns, that kind of thing really drew me in. I ended up putting around 50 hours into this game in total, which is not a ton, but I wanted to, have enough to really give a good opinion on the game, because as it stands currently on Steam, this game has mixed reviews, and a lot of that comes down to the cash shop of the game, along with some concerns about their terms of service and the amount of data that they are collecting from you. Outside of that, the general gameplay loop for this game is get dropped into a zone, have several missions that you need to complete those missions, move to the next zone, so on and so forth, which does sound a little bit basic, and admittedly it is, but there are dungeons and events and things like that sprinkled in there, so it's not quite as basic as it may sound. Then once you've completed an entire zone, you can expect to fight a giant boss, which you can do solo or with a party, and the boss seems to scale whether you choose to do either or. This part actually ended up being one of my favorite parts of the entire game. These bosses at first are admittedly very, very easy, but as you progress further into the game, they become harder and harder and harder, and at certain points, they become brick walls for your progression, in a way that I think is cool because it allows you to explore the game deeper, understand its systems better, so that you can kit out your character in a way that you can surpass these walls. But therein sort of lies the issue with this game, is that I've kind of already told you all the things there are to do. Now, once you complete the game on normal difficulty, there is a hard difficulty, which presents its own set of challenges, but you are going to be mostly redoing a lot of things that you've already done. And for some players that's going to be fine, but for a lot of people they're not going to want to do it again, and it's also not exactly the most exciting thing, especially when you consider the fact that hard mode does not have a multiplayer function the way that normal mode does. Meaning that you'll have to either go through a Discord or meet up with some real life friends in order to group up and get these things done. But I do expect that this is something that will likely change over time, as the community feedback for this has been less than stellar. With all that being said, let's talk about some of the Descendants. You'll start out with the choice of one of 3 Descendants. You'll also very quickly unlock a second Descendant, which will always be Bunny, which once you start playing, you'll see is a very popular character that you will see often. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The Descendants in this game honestly feel really good. There's a lot of really interesting characters, they have cool designs, and they're much more humanoid than games like Warframe, which are a lot similar to this. They're even designed in a way that really allows you to build out a kit for them that is very expressive to said Descendant. For example, the character that I like to play the most has no shield, and therefore I'm building mostly HP and using abilities that allow me to regain HP or spend HP in a way to get more damage. And that's just one of the ways that you can diversify your character depending on which one you have. Now that's going to lead us into 2 main things. 1, the cash shop, and 2, the systems of this game. So let's go ahead and just talk about the cash shop, because I'm sure a lot of you, if you've heard about this game, you've probably heard about the cash shop. It's very expensive. There are a lot of things on there that are overpriced. There are things like one-time use paint, or at least one time per Descendant use paint, which is kind of a confusing statement, but if you play the game, you'll see what I mean. Overall, when it comes to microtransaction, my thing is it's personal discretion. You either like it or you don't like it. I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not going to try to change your mind. But I just want you to know that it's there, it exists, and it's a point of contention amongst people playing the game at the moment. circling back on my second point with the systems of this game, there are a lot of systems in this game that are just Warframe with a new coat of paint. Now, I have said in the past that I don't mind when games borrow things from other games, but this game does it to a point where it does sort of leave a bad taste in my mouth as somebody who's played a lot of Warframe, which, you know, fair enough. I just think personally it's a bit much. I think I would have liked to see them do a little bit more iterating on the idea of the genre instead of borrowing so much from other games like it. Because Warframe is certainly not the first to do all the things that it's done. It did do a lot of things that are completely original to them. And this game doesn't really feel like it does anything original. And that's not always a bad thing, but this game is already working off a foundation where there's so much not there. You know, there's sort of a very repetitive cycle of gameplay that it is really fun for the first, 20, 30 hours, but it gets boring very fast. And overall, I think that's my main complaint with the game. It's not bad, it is fun, but the story is uninteresting, and the gameplay loop eventually just gets stale. It's fun at first, but it burns out so quick, which is a bit of a shame because the game does look really nice. The sound design is really nice. But I think ultimately, overall, I can't give this game anything more than a 5 out of 10. I think this game eventually in time may be something really special, but for right now, I think that this is a game where if you're looking for something to play, you could probably find something better unless you have literally no money to spend, in which case, give it a shot, see if you like it. I don't think that it's for nobody, but for dads, I don't think so. But I'd really like to hear what you guys think about it, because I have a lot of mixed feelings about this game, because I did have fun with it, but at the same time, there's just so many glaring issues. So if you like this review, or you just want to talk about it, leave us some comments down below, let me know what you guys thought, and make sure you sub, like the video, and we'll see you on the next Should a Dad Play. Thanks.